Today is March 28th. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. It's a thrill, honor, and joy to be here with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. Today out of the Big Book, we're going to be covering Pioneer number 7 from the Personal Stories. This is The Man Who Mastered Fear, pages 254 through 257. And out of the 12 and 12, we are going to journey through Step 11, page 98. I hope everyone's doing well this morning. It's a beautiful spring morning here. You even hear the birds chirping today. So, hey, life is good. Life is good. But anyways, my friends, let's get right to the good stuff. So, if you recall from yesterday, our friend here, the Man Who Mastered Fear, Pioneer number 7 here, he talks about his gratitude toward Dr. Bob and his wife Ann for taking him in. And he talks about receiving graciously yesterday and learning to appreciate what other people have done for him and to pay it forward by he ends up taking AA to Detroit. And I apologize, it's not page 254, it's page 255, so we'll start right at the top. This office job brought me face to face with a problem that I had sidestepped all my adult life. I enrolled in a correspondence school that taught nothing but accounting. With a specialized training and a liberal business education in the School of Hard Knocks, I was able to set up shop some 2 years later as an independent accountant. 7 years of work in this field brought an opportunity to affiliate myself actively with one of my clients, a fellow AA. We complement each other beautifully, and he is a born salesman and my taste is for finance and management. At long last, I am doing the kind of work I have always wanted to do, but never had the patience or emotional stability to train myself for. The AA program showed me the way to come down to earth, to start from the bottom and work up. This represents another great change for me. In the long ago past, I used to start at the top as president or treasurer and end up with the sheriff breathing down my neck. So much for my business life. Obviously, I have overcome fear to a sufficient degree to think in terms of success in business. With God's help, I am able, for one day at a time, to carry business responsibilities that, not many years ago, I would not have dreamed of assuming. But what about my social life? What about those fears that once paralyzed me to the point of my becoming a semi-hermit? What about my fear of travel? It would be wonderful were I able to tell you that my confidence in God and my application of the 12 steps to my daily living have utterly banished fear. But this would not be the truth. The most accurate answer I can give you is this. Fear has never again ruled my life since that day in September 1938, when I found that a power greater than myself could not only restore me to sanity, but could keep me both sober and sane. Never in 16 years have I dodged anything because I was afraid of it. I have faced life instead of running away from it. Some of the things that used to stop me in my tracks from fear still make me nervous in the anticipation of their doing. But once I kick myself into doing them, nervousness disappears, and I enjoy myself. In recent years, I have had the happy combination of time and money to travel occasionally. I am apt to get into quite an uproar for a day or two before starting, but I do start. And once I've started, I have a swell time. Have I ever wanted to drink during these years? Only once did I suffer from a nearly overpowering compulsion to take a drink. Oddly enough, the circumstances and surroundings were pleasant. I was at a beautifully set dinner table. I was in a perfectly happy frame of mind. I had been in AA a year, and the last thing in my mind was a drink. But there was a glass of sherry at my place. I was seized with an almost uncontrollable desire to reach out for it. I shut my eyes and I asked for help. In 15 seconds or less, the feeling passed. There have also been numerous times when I thought about taking a drink. Such thinking usually began with thoughts of the pleasant drinking of my youth. I learned early in my AA life that I could not afford to fondle such thoughts, as you might fondle a pet, because this particular pet could grow into a monster. Instead, I quickly substitute one or another vivid scene from my nightmare of my later drinking. 20-odd years ago, I made a mess out of my one and only marriage. It was therefore not extraordinary that I would shy away from any serious thought of marriage for a great many years of joining AA. Here was something requiring a greater willingness to assume responsibility and a larger degree of cooperation and give and take than even business requires of one. However, I must have felt deep down inside myself that living the selfish life of a bachelor was only half living. By living alone, you can pretty much eliminate grief from your life, but you also eliminate joy. At any rate, the last great step toward a well-rounded life still lay ahead of me. So 6 months ago, I acquired a ready-made family consisting of one charming wife, 4 grown children to whom I am devoted, and 3 grandchildren. Being an alcoholic, I couldn't dream of doing anything by halves. My wife, a sister member in AA, had been a widow 9 years, and I had been single 18 years. The adjustments in such a case are difficult and take time, but we both feel that they are certainly worth it. We are both depending upon God and our use of the Alcoholics Anonymous program to help us make a success of this joint undertaking. It is undoubtedly too soon for me to say how much of a success I shall be as a husband in time to come. I do feel, though, that the fact that I finally grew up to a point where I could even tackle such a job is the apex of the story of a man who spent 18 years running away from life. All right, absolutely beautiful stuff. What a happy ending to this story. Cannot wait to talk about this in a minute. So out of the 12 and 12 today, we are continuing our journey through step 11, which is sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for the knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. And yesterday we were asking a series of questions, about this whole God idea. What about all the accidents, sickness, cruelty, and injustice in the world? What about all those unhappy lives, which were the direct result of the unfortunate birth and uncontrollable circumstances? Surely there could be no justice in this scheme of things, and therefore no God at all. So we are going to build on that idea right now on page 97. Sometimes we took a slightly different tack. Sure, we said to ourselves, the hen probably did come before the egg. No doubt the universe had a first cause of some sort. The god of the atom, maybe, hot and cold by turns. But certainly there wasn't any evidence of a God who knew or cared about human beings. We liked AA all right, and were quick to say that it had done miracles. But we recoiled from meditation and prayer as obstinately as the scientist who refused to perform a certain experiment lest it prove his pet theory wrong. Of course, we finally did experiment, and when unexpected results followed, we felt different. In fact, we knew different. And so we were sold on meditation and prayer. And that, we have found, can happen to anybody who tries. It has been well said that almost the only scoffers at prayer are those who never tried it enough. Those of us who've come to make regular use of prayer would no more do without it than we would refuse air, food, or sunshine. And for the same reason, when we refuse air, light, or food, the body suffers. And when we turn away from meditation and prayer, we likewise deprive our minds, our emotions, and our institutions of vitally needed support. As the body can fail its purpose for lack of nourishment, so can the soul. We all need the light of God's reality, the nourishment of His strength, and the atmosphere of His grace. To an amazing extent, the facts of AA life confirm this ageless truth. Wow, that's some great stuff right there. What a beautiful way to describe that. All I can say is from my own experience with prayer. A lot of times I had resentments. I was covered up with resentments when I did my inventory. And I started doing what the Big Book told me to do, to pray for those I resented, that they would have good health, prosperity, and happiness. And I was also a big journaler. So anytime somebody was robbing me of, I was letting somebody rob me of my serenity, and I had a resentment toward them, and I'd replay that tape over and over again of what they did. Each time getting a little bit worse and worse what they did, and a little bit less and less of what I did. That resentment would build, right? And at first I was like, really? I gotta pray for them? I didn't do anything wrong. I was just standing there. But I did what I was told. I was desperate enough to quit drinking, so I said, okay, all right, I'll do what you tell me to do. And I started praying. And at first it was, God, please give that son of a gun what he deserves. But then the constant repetition of time and prayer, that resentment melted away. Sometimes it would take days or weeks, maybe even months. But that resentment would go away. And I know this for a fact because I would go back and read some of those journals, especially from those early days of my sobriety, and all the people that I'd had these resentments towards. I genuinely didn't think about them much anymore. The God of my understanding had taken that resentment away from me. And I genuinely started caring about my fellows. That's a far cry. And all just because of the repetition of prayer. And usually for me, it was in hindsight that I realized, holy geez, that prayer worked. And I've been doing it ever since. And I've seen it work in miraculous ways in my life. As a matter of fact, I had a situation today that I see the direct result of prayer. And it just absolutely blows my mind and bolsters my faith that this thing is real. Again, in my life. But going back to the Big Book real fast, I absolutely love the honesty that's in this testimony for the man who mastered fear. Did fear completely go away? Nope. And I'm glad he brings that up. This has more been my story of spiritual awakening, right? Some things went away instantly for me. But there have been some things that have taken a long period of time, but no longer are the master of my life. And fear is one of them. I love what he says here on 256. Fear has never again ruled my life since that day, September 1938, when I found that a power greater than myself could not only restore me to sanity, but could keep me both sober and sane. Never in 16 years have I dodged anything because I was afraid of it. I have faced life instead of running away from it. So that tells me the fear's still there. And it says here a little bit later on, I kick myself into doing them. Nervousness disappears and I enjoy myself. So that nervousness, that anxiety, it's still there, but he doesn't let that master him and paralyze him from doing what he really wants to do. I try to tell my kiddos sometimes, don't let fear stop you from doing what you love to do. In my job, I get a new set of people that I work with every single year. And you still get the butterflies every year, but it doesn't stop me from trying my best and continuing to do what I believe the God of my understanding is calling me to do. The fear of trying new things. I've tried a lot of new things over my sobriety. Things I've always kind of wanted to do that are always in the back of my mind that I've just decided to bite the bullet on and do. Whether it's projects around the house that I didn't know how to do, or it's hobbies like learning to play a new instrument or skating or something like that I've always wanted to try or come back to, and I'm finally doing it. And there might be some fear and some nervousness of the unknown, but there's also this trust that my higher power is going to be with me through all of it. And I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful that you've decided to join me in this lifeboat of recovery. Again, I haven't said it in a few days, and I apologize. I don't speak on behalf of AA or NA or Al-Anon or any other sect or fellowship or denomination. I am just a grateful friend in recovery, and I love these two books. And again, I'm grateful that you're here with me. I hope you all have a great day today, and I look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow.